Hey guys, Jeff at Hubie's Garage, and yeah, it's been a busy week and didn't get a whole bunch done on the 55. We've had some rain and some family dealings to deal with, stuff going on, so didn't really have a whole bunch to film. So I have a couple of shop projects that I did get done, some shop equipment, some tools, so to speak. Went ahead and thought I was going to do a couple shorts on them. I actually did them in the portrait format to do for some shorts, and had some music thrown in with them. So I guess the videos took a little longer than I thought, and I decided to put the two pieces of equipment that you're going to see here together into one long format video. I basically picked up a oxyacetylene torch, and this was some time back when I went out and saw my buddy Tom, as well as the solvent tank. The solvent tank has been out of commission for some time. It needed to be cleaned, it needed some new solvent, and it needed some modifications. And I was kind of surprised Harbor Freight didn't have a lot of the parts that I thought that they would have when I contacted their 800 number. So I ended up making some things myself and modifying some stuff, kind of like what you see with some of the Harbor Freight products that people buy, and then they go on YouTube and do some modifications to those equipment. Well, that's pretty much what you're going to see here. The reason I'm doing this is because, I just feel like it's, if I'm here showing you guys some of this stuff and some of the projects that I do, that I'd like to share some of the basic equipment that I have, so you could see, if you guys want to tackle some of these projects yourself, you'll see what equipment we have, and just kind of share some of that knowledge with you. We've got a few other items that we've got our eyes on that we're looking for, looking on Marketplace, looking at sales at Harbor Freight, to pick up some additional equipment. And we've even got some equipment here that still needs some work, that needs to be put into commission. I know one of them, a big one, is the big 220 shop compressor, and that should be coming. But for now, we'll do the oxyacetylene torch and the solvent tank, and thanks for watching. We'll get into it here. Another one of the items from Harbor Freight is a welding hose, 25 footer, because when I was at my buddy Tom's house, I managed to buy a torch setup from him. Tom had quite a few torch setups, and this was one that he had. He probably located it at a garage sale, and I bought it from him for 50 bucks. So it does have some gas in it. I do know that the hoses are cracked, but it's pretty much all the good stuff. It's got the Victor torch, the Victor gauges, and yeah, as far as I know, the only thing that was a problem with it, besides squeaky wheels, was the hoses leaked. So we'll see if we can take care of that today too. Went ahead and tore down the acetylene torch. I got the old hose off. Actually, I still got to take the torch off, the rest of the torch. I've got 2,000 pounds in the oxygen tank, and I've got that laying on the side because I know what'll happen when these things fall over and you knock the valve off of them. So that's why the chains are on the cart, and that's why you see them chained up in businesses, hopefully. Anyway, the acetylene was empty, so got that off, got the gauge set off. Went ahead and blasted the cart because it was filthy dirty, and just letting that dry off right now. Got all the old tools out of the cart. Got some a real ancient old striker, and a rusty one that still works. And this one's kind of interesting. I'll have to do a little bit of research on that one. Got a spare swivel, and yeah, we're ready to go get another acetylene bottle, hook up the O2, and hook up the hose and get this thing back in order. All right, pulling up to Cameron Welding Supply, and we're gonna grab a tank. Alrighty, and just like that, we're all swapped out. 59 bucks. Let's go put her together. All right, So got the oxygen bottle back on, got the new acetylene, or I should say the refilled acetylene back on. Now let's put the gauge set on and hook up the hoses. Alright, I'm not real sure why we have Teflon tape on a flared fitting, but we'll go ahead and take that off. Okay, got the hoses connected and got the hose crimpers, got them crimped so that they're not going to float around. And I got the tip cleaner, so let's go ahead and clean out the tip because I know this thing has been dropped 50 million times, way more than it's been used. All right, so got the right size. Go ahead and get that cleaned out. Okay, should be all ready to go. Okay, looks like we got a bad gauge set, bad regulator, so I'll have to go buy another regulator for it. Okay, so we will go ahead and take the hose off, at least on the oxygen side, and get that flared fitting off. Obviously we got all the air pressure out of it, and go ahead and use the regulator. All right, get this off and take it over to the bench. Now with these gauge sets like this, it'd be real easy to just go on Amazon and buy another regulator, but the problem is that the junk being made these days, it's just not built the way this stuff was, especially when you're dealing with a Victor. So this is stuff that was built years ago, was built to last, and I'm just not interested in this throwaway generation of just tossing stuff out. You're supposed to take this stuff apart, know how to fix stuff, and rebuild it. So we went ahead and ordered the kit, and the kit should be here shortly. An army of Amazon trucks. All right, got the regulator off, and I got the Victor repair kit. This is for the SR250 gauge set. So, all right, one of the things you want to do before you take the regulator off the bottle, because this is obviously the oxygen bottle, is you want to go ahead and take the bell on the regulator off. So you can use the fact that it's still attached to the bottle as leverage, not have to worry about putting the regulator in a vise. And this one probably has not been apart very often. It's pretty snug. All right, there we go. All right, now we'll take it off and take it to the workbench. Okay, so let's take the regulator off. Probably could have taken the pop-off valve off. You just want to make sure that when you take this thing apart that you make note of it. Take some pictures, do whatever you need to do, but maybe when you take things apart, have it spaced out in order so that you know which way it goes back in. Okay, so this is just the spring and the plate that goes on top. That's kind of unusual here. I've not seen one with a nut on it before, because you can see the new diaphragm does not have one, so I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. Now there should be a seal that goes with it. Yeah, there it is right there. One of the things we also want to make sure we don't do is you don't get any oil, any petroleum product in this. Just not a good thing to mix in there with oxygen. So these things don't work real well with those. All right, let's look into this thing. We'll figure out. Let's make sure we got the right part first, because I'm just not sure what this nut is. Most of them just have this little brass end right here, but I've never seen one with a nut. So we got the bell off, we got the spring, and the spring button, that's the technical name for it. You can see it, it's got a point that points down, and that's because of the pointed end of the regulator. Having that pointed end, it basically just rides inside that spring button. So it's only got one way that could go. And then you've obviously got the gasket here, or it's like a neoprene ring, and then you've got the diaphragm. Now I did find out that this diaphragm is an older design, and they have updated to a new design. Yeah, it's basically the same thing, it'll work. This is a kit that's for an SR250, which that's exactly what this regulator is. So let's go ahead and get this thing apart. We'll get down to the seat assembly and check the condition of that. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and check the condition of the diaphragm. I don't see any smoking guns with the diaphragm. We'll take a peek at it when we get it out, see if we can see something on the back side. This diaphragm has pretty much just melted itself to the brass housing, so probably going to have to get a gasket scraper and start trying to peel that away, because it's worn itself pretty thin, and that could be the cause of it in itself, is that this thing is just worn so flat, so thin. All right, well, I have never seen a regulator in this condition. This thing, basically, I had to pierce the diaphragm. It looks like somebody hit the diaphragm with a torch. I mean, this thing absolutely just melted itself to the regulator, and it's just having a heck of a time coming out. So it's probably safe to say that this diaphragm has had or seen better days. I mean, that is just, you could see it's completely like out of shape, and you could see that it's just completely, I mean, that's going to be fun to get off. All right, well, this one was a real pain in the butt. The old gasket, or the old diaphragm, I think it just was out in the heat. You know, where Tom lives, they can get some temps out there that 120 degrees pretty easy, and it was out in the sun for a few years. So I think that's probably what happened, is it probably just melted this diaphragm. You could see the diaphragm is not flat anymore, it's bubbled. But it's got an upper seat and a lower seat. It's kind of hard to see, but I used a brass wire brush, or brass bristled wire brush. I used a gasket pick, and it took some time, but in fact there's still even some debris in that gasket seat where a lot of this diaphragm was left in there, but got it blown out pretty good. Not putting any petroleum lubricants or cleaners, you know, brake clean, any of that stuff in there, because this is an oxygen regulator, and you don't want to get any of that stuff in this thing. So let's see about, we got to get a 5/8 socket, and we'll go ahead and take the needle, or the seat assembly. We'll go ahead and take the seat assembly out and get ready to get the replacement parts for that. Inside the regulator, there's one more gasket that's in the kit, another one of those clear neoprene gaskets, and you could see this one has, you know, got some rubber material on this thing. We'll go ahead and blow this thing out real good before we take it apart, but you can see here that it's got, that gasket is also another part that's going to get replaced. All right, let's blow everything out, get the parts from the kit, and we'll go ahead and put it back together. All right, got the regulator all blown out. I got the new regulator repair kit. This is a Victor part number, and you know, it'll just be nice using the original well-made part you know, these things were built to last. You could see the black gasket, and you could see that in comparison to the other one. I don't know how well that shows up, but you could see one's gone and one's there, so that was obviously the issue. But let's go ahead and assemble the new one with the new lock washer. Actually, let's start with first things first. We're going to put that new O-ring down inside there, that new gasket. That'll go down in the bottom. Make sure that that's in there all the way. It's seated properly, which it is. And then we've got the old split washer, little white plastic washer. We've got the new one right here. That one will go in place. That one's now in place. We'll put the spring on the new seat. We've got the seat guide right here that only goes in one way. You can see that split washers that is there. It's all ready to go back in, and what we'll do is we'll fit this down inside the 5/8 brass cap, and then we'll keep it at an angle here and thread it back in. Again, no lubricants, no pipe dope, Teflon tape, none of that stuff. You don't want anything in there when you're dealing with an oxygen regulator. We've got the new seat assembly installed. Just have to snug this down, the 5/8. We're going to just go ahead and do that snug. Got the old diaphragm gasket, right, or the old diaphragm itself right here. For some reason, the kit did not come with a new outer O-ring for the bell itself. I'm not sure why. I have seen some smaller kits that have that ring in there, but for some reason the kit with the diaphragm did not have it. But definitely glad we got the parts to replace the seat assembly, because that was definitely the culprit here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and thread the seat, the brass, the 5/8 brass cover for the seat assembly, and we'll go ahead and snug it down. Not tight. It's two brass items. We're just going to make it snug. So there we go. And still got everything at a 45-degree angle. We've got the back of the diaphragm, which is going to touch the seat, or the actual needle portion, I guess, of the seat. And then we've got the new diaphragm that fits down inside that outer lip, and then the shorter lip that's down inside there. We'll go ahead and put the spring. Actually, we're going to go ahead and do this flat at this point, but we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and we've got the diaphragm in place. We've got the outer gasket, the neoprene gasket. The bell is cleaned out. It's in nice shape. We've got the button pointed down. Got the T backed off, and we'll go ahead and put this back together. All right, got that. We got that hand tight. Again, no lubricants, no petroleum products on this regulator. The manufacturer doesn't call for that, and you can actually have a bigger problem if you try to use it with flammability and with issues where, well, you just don't want to find out. All right, let's go ahead and put this thing back on. We'll go ahead and get the bell tightened down, and we'll give it a try. All right. Go ahead and put the regulator back on the oxygen bottle. That's snugged up. We'll go ahead and tighten down the bell. Again, just making this snug. be about right there. We'll put the hose back on. 11/16 in wrench. Give that a snug against the flare. And we're ready to go. All right, let's take it outside and see what we got. So we're gonna go ahead and check the valve. Got the oxygen open. And we'll go ahead and regulate it to, let's go about 25. And let's go ahead and turn on our oxygen tank, or our acetylene tank. Acetylene tank will bring that up to about, now that's open, but we've got it. Let's regulate that down. All right, got the acetylene open. Got it regulated down to about 5 pounds. So about 25 on the oxygen and 5 on the acetylene. Let's go ahead and see how she does. We'll just go ahead and crack the acetylene. About, just crack it open, quarter turn. Real fun. You can't tell if the camera is on through the welding hood. Alright, so let's go ahead and slowly crack open the oxygen. Alright, working good. A nice little oxyacetylene torch. Now it's time to go cut something. Yeah, found a lot of old parts in this one. Alright, so I got the solvent tank all cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and go online with Harbor Freight and go ahead and get a new hose because this one's real brittle, and get another brush because that one's seen better days. And then I'll go ahead and get the filters that go in there, so we have a good clean filter in there and a backup. And then I'll put just a small amount of solvent on the bottom just to make sure that nothing leaks and that my drain plug's good. And if everything looks good after a day, then we'll put the whole 5 gallons of solvent in and get back to using this solvent tank. Alright, so I managed to get some, basically what it is cotton batting, stuff you put in a quilt. And I just went ahead and made some squares. It's maybe a tinge thicker than the original one's, maybe a tinge thicker, so I could double this up. In fact, that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, surprisingly, Harbor Freight did not have filters, even when you called their parts people. So I went ahead and folded up this material. But again, this was not even, I don't even think it was half a yard, and I paid $2.20. So much cheaper than the filter. I also noticed that the 1/4 inch pipe thread looks like it's got some old Teflon tape on it, and I went ahead and made a new fitting. Got a 1/2 inch 90, and then I got a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch bushing reducer, and then I've got a hose barb fitting that will go on the pump. Okay, so I went ahead and wrapped that with Teflon tape as well as the fittings, and I know that's kind of redundant because this is in a solvent tank and it's going to be under the solvent. And honestly, I'm not even sure how the Teflon tape is going to hold up to the solvent, if the solvent will dissolve it. But the reason I put the Teflon tape on is just so that we can have as much pressure at the end of the nozzle as possible. I don't want to have any leakage and lose pressure to the end of the brush. All right, so the conversion is done. I've converted from a flared fitting hose, which was way more expensive. Used a special brush to a hose barb because you can get these hose barb style flow-through brushes on Amazon real cheap. So let's go ahead and plug in. I've also got the filter in, so let's go ahead and put everything in place and fill it with solvent and see what happens. All right, got the 5-gallon pail of solvent in. This is probably the last time that you'll ever see the bottom of the solvent tank, or at least until I clean it again. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Turn the switch on. And there you go. We've got a parts solvent tank again, ready to wash some parts. All right, guys, well, that's all I got, and appreciate you sticking around and watching. Still have some more equipment and some tools that we'll be working on later, but we're going to try to get back on the 55 this week, see if we can make some more progress, see if we can try to get these brake lines put in, and then wrap up everything under the hood, and hopefully we'll be driving it again. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I appreciate it, and you guys have a great week. Take care.